the shadows, down low. You don't know what I'm going through, don't know what I'm going through. It's down low, down low. You don't know what I'm going through, don't know what I'm going.
Hey, welcome back TPL Nation for another draft analysis video. In this one we have the College Station Good Bull, coached by the one, the only Mario, and very interested to see how this team fares in this in draft. As we start out, we start with probably the spearhead of Mario's team in the Dracovish. Not much to say about Dracovish, except it did pick up Sandrush this gen, so I feel like Sandrush Choice Band is really good for this team and for this Pokemon. I have talked to quite a few people, and it seems like Sandrush Choice Band over something like Strongjaw Scarf. The only real difference is under Sand. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of difference. I mean, to be honest, if you think about it, like with Choice Scarf, you'd be putting on some extra speed anyway. It wouldn't be doubling, so I guess the difference is it has more speed in Sand. But with that Choice Scarf, you do get to keep your ability of Strongjaw, which basically gives you the Choice Band whenever you're attacking with bite-based attacks like Vicious Rend or Crunch. So, while Dracovish does pick up a little bit of speed in the Sand, I feel like you really have to use that Choice Band to get that extra oomph from that you're missing out without having Strongjaw. So, not really going to say much about Dracovish, just because when it comes in, it's probably going to be clicking Vicious Rend. We do see Crunch as another potential move for it, but not a whole lot else you really see Dracovish use. It does have a decent move set, but like I said, it doesn't really need anything else besides the Vicious Rend in the first place. So that's what Dracovish does. We move on to the Sand Facilitator of this team, the Hippowdon with Sandstream leftovers. This Pokemon works really well with Dracovish, in my opinion, and it's more than just the Sand, because to me, Hippowdon just coming in and being that good physical wall, you can throw off a yawn, and then if your opponent has two options: they either let their Pokemon fall asleep and hit you, or they switch out. And the reason why I think that'd be great is because you throw off the yawn and then you double out into Dracovish. Dracovish probably just got a free switch in, and then you have to be banking on, and then your opponent has to hope that they switch something in that is faster than Dracovish and Sand, which good luck, by the way. That's a pretty fast Pokemon. You're probably going to need a Scarf for that. Or they have something that can take a Vicious Rend, and those Pokemon are few and far between. So I think this starter combo of Hippowdon and Dracovish can really support each other, and I really love this combination. Another Pokemon that we could see cripple physical attackers as well is Incineroar. I really like Eject Button on Incineroar just because it creates momentum for eating a hit. You know, Incineroar coming in, throwing off an Intimidate, and you could take something like a Knockoff or something, and Eject Button switches you out right into like maybe a Dracovish or another threat on his team. But Incineroar is a good Pokemon all in all. It's got middle of the road speed at 60, so very not fast. It's pretty much slow, but it does have really decent attack at 115, 95 base HP, Intimidate to cripple those physical attackers. We know it gets Will-O-Wisp as well, but I really like this 4-move set of just Flare Blitz, U-Turn, Knockoff, and Close Combat. To be honest, if you wanted to, you could just throw an Assault Vest on this Pokemon and let bygones be bygones, because then when you're talking about the Assault Vest boosting the special defense of Incineroar, all of a sudden it's really good at taking physical and special hits because of Intimidate. So Incineroar can definitely pivot in quite a few times before it eventually falls over, and I feel like momentum and pivoting out is going to be integral to Mario's team with the Dracovish and Hippowdon combo, and Incineroar just helps a lot with that. We move down, we do see a few other things it can use: Darkest Lariat, Bulk Up, Earthquake, Fake Out. This Pokemon is pretty good for using utility moves. As we move through, not a whole lot it can use, but I feel like for the main purpose that he could use it for, of just pivoting out, obviously U-turn allowing him to do more of that as well. I feel like Incineroar really serves a great purpose on Mario's team, and I feel like it's a great addition. To my knowledge, it only shares the water weakness with a Powdon, so he does need to think about that. But I mean, with Dracovish right there being ×4 resistant to water, let your Pokemon... Let your opponent be risky throwing off water moves. Like, go ahead. Next up, we move into Jirachi, one of the very, like, scary threats. I actually wondered, does this thing get Cosmic Power? Yes, it does get Cosmic Power now. So, obviously, one of the scarier sets being Cosmic Power with Stored Power, and then you could run, like, Wish and Protect. So, like, this thing can literally sweep through whole teams on its own. So I guess with, Serene Grace is its only ability, so you're kind of stuck with that. But if you're running like if you run like leftovers to get that 12% back after the end of each turn, I mean, this Pokemon can easily spiral out of control if your opponent doesn't have a designated answer for it. Jirachi can be very annoying. It has solid stats all around and base 100 in every stat. So it's a very decent Pokemon. If you want to have it set up on a certain Pokemon from week to week, you just run specially defensive or you run physically defensive, in my opinion. By the time your opponent realizes that, hey, I can't kill this thing, chances are it's already over, and you probably already have 1 or 2 Cosmic Powers up already. I'll scroll through Jirachi's moveset just because you can do some other things with this Pokemon. Obviously, there's like the Choice Scarf Flinch set with Iron Head, Serene Grace, so flinch your opponent to death. Moves like Zen Headbutt could come out from this Pokemon, but I really think, all in all, for the draft moveset, I think the Cosmic Power Stored Power set is going to be huge scary to prepare for. Huge scary. We do see Meteor Beam could come out from this Pokemon. That could be an interesting tech for Jirachi. I actually really like that. But as we move down through, like, I just think Jirachi's just super scary, and just trying to get those Cosmic Powers, Stored Power, Wish, Protect. Like, if this thing comes in for free against something that Mario knows can't do over 50%, like, this thing just gets a free Stored Power, a good Cosmic Power up, and then that might be it, unless your opponent has a legitimate answer for this, which could be hard to find. Steel Psychic being a pretty good combo. But it's not impossible to break through, but I think this is just another huge threat on Mario's team. And when you're already, because if you're coming into this as an opponent, you're like, God, I have to worry about the Hippo and Dracovish combo accented by the Incineroar, and then I have to worry about a possible Cosmic Power Jirachi. Like, so far, his team is full of threats. And as you move on to Nito King here, it's obvious that the threats just keep coming. Life Orb, Sheer Force, Bolt Beam, Sludge Wave, Earth Power. This thing is a monster. It gets coverage for days. It is a really good Pokemon. It's got decent speed, decent attack stat. You can run Choice Scarf as well. You don't have to run the Life Orb, Sheer Force set. Obviously, you do double up on damage, but it's kind of the same thing of going like Scarf over Specs. You know what I mean? As we look at his moves, he does, Nito King does have the ability to be a physical attacker as well, but I think it just gets more utility from the Sheer Force and the Life Orb by going special. Nito King being a very good Pokemon, it can lay down Toxic Spikes, it can clear Toxic Spikes, it provides an electric immunity for his team. Overall, I think this is a pretty strong set in this first 4. This first 5 right here, like, it's going to be kind of hard-pressed to kind of break through this team. I think Mario's really set up for success, even more so than last season. Just looking at these 5, it's going to be very difficult for physical attackers to really bust through this core, in my opinion. And then as we move down, we do get towards the more, I don't want to say lackluster, I'd say like more niche Pokemon. Virizion isn't the best sword of justice just because it doesn't have the best moveset all around. I mean, pretty much you just have the stab, the swords dance, and maybe like something like Mega Horn in the back. Like, I was actually searching, it was kind of an issue trying to find a fourth move for this. But with that being said, it does get interesting tech options in Substitute, Synthesis, Taunt. It gets screens, so maybe if you want to open up for that Jirachi to set up in front of something, you just run the corresponding screen. Like, let's say you want to set up in front of a special attacker, well, throw up a light screen, and then the other Pokemon on your team, like Hippowdon and Incineroar, pretty much debilitate physical attackers, and you have a freaking screen up with Virizion. So, you know, there is a lot of potential for this Pokemon to be support as well as an attacker. And I do think that that could be pretty interesting for it. It does have very decent speed, being base 108, I believe. But that's pretty much it for its moveset. Yeah, base 108. It's got decent attack with 90, so it doesn't put out a huge amount of damage. Grass Fighting, it is a solid knockoff switch-in to pair with Jirachi. And Incineroar, to be honest. Virizion is good. I could definitely see him improving his team by dropping Virizion for something else, maybe later in the game. But overall, I think it does support the team a little bit in what it can do. Oddly enough, I think the screen would be like overall in the team's best interest. I think that's what it would be nice for like a fourth move, so maybe run light screen. I mean, the chances of Virizion setting up a Swords Dance are kind of low, so you could just pop the Reflect on for even more, just physical defense. But I mean, honestly, if you get a light screen up, like, it's going to be so hard to kill stuff on his team, with Incineroar crippling the physical attackers, with a Hippowdon just being a physical wall in general, and the sand coming into play, getting a little bit of chip damage on opponents. It could definitely be a very threatening team to deal with. As we move into the next Pokemon, we do see Scyther, and I really like Scyther for like a sleeper Dynamax. But also, you could just run the Eviolite U-turn for a little chip here and there. It's a fast Pokemon at base 105 with base 110 attack. It's not a slouch. It does get a lot bulkier with Eviolite, basically coming out to 120 in each defense with the Eviolite there. So it is strong. He does have plenty of knockoff switch-ins on his team, so I definitely don't think that Scyther's going to have to worry about that too much. So Scyther definitely just more of the same than we saw it come out for the last team. I forgot. I think it was on the Strikers last season, but I'm not 100% sure. But I imagine we just see more of the same with Scyther. Scyther is a very good Pokemon, fast, physical attacker, and with a Swords Dance, like, this thing could definitely turn into a Dynamax and just start running through your opponent. So Scyther definitely being a problem that the opponent's going to have to watch out for, while also trying to balance all of these issues as well. So I definitely like that for Mario's team. As we move on to Whimsicott here, the final, we just see like more of the same. Just like Memento support's really good to pivot around. I know this thing does get U-turn. So I mean, Whimsicott not being that bulky, but it can really support the team and while it's here. And I feel like this thing also, as a defog user, he pretty much kind of needs it for that niche, because as I look through, he doesn't have the biggest weakness to entry hazards. I mean, you pretty much throw a heavy-duty boots on the Incineroar possibly, or maybe boots on Scyther, and you're not really going to be worrying too much about entry hazards. You do have the grounded poison type in Nito King, so toxic spikes are almost just not an issue. So while he doesn't have the best way to clear hazards, dude, Prankster Defog is just so good. So I feel like entry hazards are almost like a null void for him right now at this point. If he's really worried about it, he has those options for it. So Whimsicott's really good. It can Memento out into something in his team that could set up. Memento pivoting into Jirachi could be really scary. just because Whimsicott and Jirachi don't share weaknesses, I'm pretty sure. So what you would fire off for Whimsicott's really not going to hurt Jirachi. And it's a really good team composition so far. I like, this is really good, actually. Like, I'm actually taken aback as I move through. It's kind of hard to find weaknesses for this team. I guess if you could say a weakness, I don't see him potentially stopping a sweep, I should say. And what I mean by that is, like, if he lets his opponent get out of control, there's not a lot on his team that can really take it down. Like, there is memento on Whimsicott, but that's probably not going to come week to week. So while his team can be very threatening, I feel like versus another hyper offense that could be his kryptonite, so to speak. But it's going to be interesting to see how Mario plays this season, and I can't wait to see what he does, because Mario's a really good coach. I can't wait to see him snag another playoff berth. Hands down, with this team, he's got a good shot at it for sure. But I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to move on to the next draft analysis video. Oh, I almost forgot to give a rating. Let me see. Wow, this team is really good. I'm probably going to go at... You know what? Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8. Mario has a very solid team. I was going to say 7.5, but just looking at this team, like, it's super solid. It's super solid. Like, it's kind of hard for me to find shared weaknesses here, like, unless I'm just, you know, unless something is just escaping my eyes. I mean, obviously, he has, like, 3 rock weaknesses, but... I mean, you have Incineroar right there. Isn't going to be taking too much damage from a rock move, chances are, because it's going to be physical, unless your opponent has a Nihilego. And then you're getting the Intimidate boost. I mean, you have Hippowdon right there to eat rock moves. You have Jirachi there to eat rock moves. Nito King can eat a rock move. Virizion can eat a rock move. So it's like, dude, yeah, I have 3 weaknesses, but I have like 4 resists. So does that even matter in the first place? So he does have another glaring ice weakness, which could be interesting to exploit now that I'm looking at it. Ice is going to hit Hippowdon. It's going to hit Nito King. It's going to hit Scyther and Whimsicott. So ice moves could be something that could be looming over College Station's team. But overall, I'm still solid with the 8, just because he does have switch-ins for those as well. And he does have neutral hits for that as well. And, you know, Ice is going to have a hard time finding ways to really damage his team superbly. But I think he'll just have to... He'll have to worry about really fast attackers, I think. But I'm fine with an 8 for this team. Mario's got a really good team. So I'm going to move on to the next draft analysis video, you guys. I've been Ace Trainer Ryan. Peace.